Huh? We have the honor to have you here today.
What?
We have the honor.
No, I don't think so. Okay. Sorry.
It's funny. Whoever's there listening, have a wonderful Erev Shabbos. I'm a little hoarse, as you can see. You got one? You got a couple?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I wanted to do today is two things actually, but probably won't get to this both. One is a Gemara in a tractate in Sanhedrin. This is not about the subject we've been learning until. This is not about fasting. This is about judicial court system. That's what Sanhedrin actually means. Sanhedrin stands for Sone. They hate to receive bribe. Hadar, to be glorified in judgment. They don't like to be bribed. That's a true judge. It's the name of the tractate. This whole Perek Chelek, which is the last Perek, last chapter in Sanhedrin, is all about Mashiach, or a good chunk of it is about Mashiach. Really interesting information about what will happen, what are the signs of Mashiach, what kind of person Mashiach will be, and what his name is, what's his name, things like that are discussed pretty close to the Gemara we're learning today. But it's not about Mashiach. The subject that I wanted to study today is about truth, telling the truth, how important it is to tell the truth. The second Gemara that I have given you is about seeing the truth. So it's telling the truth and seeing the truth. Here's a story. Take a look at your first page. That will be the original. That's the Aramaic. Turn the page over. One second. And let's go to this, actually the left-hand side, the third page, in the middle, where it says, having mentioned a situation in which truthfulness will be absent, the Gemara digresses to relate a story. The Gemara is talking about, before Mashiach comes, there will be very few people that will be telling the truth. It'll just be absent. We can see it right now. A lot of fake stuff, a lot of, people are just overpowered with money and fame and power, and truth is elusive. So in conjunction with that sign of Mashiach, the Gemara continues about the importance of telling the truth, and it tells a story about a certain city where everyone told the truth until something happened. Here's the story. Amar Rava, you have it? Having mentioned the situation with truthfulness will be absent in the time of Mashiach, the Gemara digresses to relate a story about people who spoke only the truth. Amar Rava, there's a little aleph missing here, if you didn't come out so clear. Rava said, Rava is the name of the Talmudic sage that is one of the most famous ones. He's appears almost on every single page of the Talmud. So Rava says the following, lived about 1,500 years ago. Mereish hava amina. At first I used to say, Leka kushta bi'alma. In Aramaic, the word emes is kushta. Leka kushta bi'alma. There is no truth in this world anymore. No person who speaks only the truth. Everyone lies here and there once in a while. That's what I thought. Want to give it to her? Give her a copy. One. There's the other one. We're talking about truth and a story about Rava who said, Rava is a Talmudic sage who said, I used to think that nobody really is careful about telling the truth all the time. Everyone once in a while says something that's not exactly 100% true. Amar li hahu mirabanan. But then one of the rabbis told me the following story. The name of this rabbi, Rav Teves Shmei. His name was Teves. Sounds like Tov, goodness, but that was his name. the Amrila, and some say that his real name was not Tovus, but Tav Yomei. Also sounds like good. Tav Yomei, good on a daily basis. Yom means a day. That was his name, or maybe it was his nickname, but they used to call him Rav Tav Yomei. And he said the following: the havu yohabele kol chalole da alma. Even if they would give me all the riches in the world, I would not loy hava meshani b'dibure. I would not tell a lie. What does it mean when he says, if they would give me all the riches in the world? So there's a Rashi elsewhere in the Talmud that says, when it says all, actually chaloli alma means the entire globe. So what it actually means is that even if I would know all the secrets of why things happen in the world, which is a great gift to know everything, why this had to happen and why that had to happen at this time, all the secrets of the world, it's a great gift, but I wouldn't sell myself out. And for that purpose, say anything that's not 100% true. There's a story in Gemara, Masechet Shabbos, 77b, where one sage said to the other sage, I'm in a real special mood right now. I feel like everything's open for me. Ask me any question you want about anything you want in life. And he says, the whole globe, the kol chaloli alma, the entire world, and its inside, and what goes on with people, I'm now aware of. You're back?
He's not here.
Okay. My honor. Only one Devorah here, right? We're telling a story of Devorah about someone who, Rava, who said that he always thought that there's no place where people only tell the truth. Everyone lies here and there. Small lie, big lie, but everyone is, truth is elusive. You can't find it. Until a certain rabbi, whose name was Rabbi Tav Yomei, told him, you know what? If they would give me all the secrets of the world, all the riches of the world, materially, spiritually, I have all the answers to all the questions. Lo hava mishani b'dibure. I would not, mishani means like a shinui, a change. I would not change my words and lie. And he related the following story to me. Zimna chada, who knows what zimna chada means? It's Aramaic and it sounds a little bit like Hebrew. Zimna like zman, chada, echad, one. One time, Zimna chada, one time, Iklai lahu asra. I visited a certain town, and the name of the town was Truth in Aramaic, Kushta. The town was called Kushta. Not only were people always telling the truth in that town, but the very name of the town, maybe because of that reason, was called the town of truth, Kushta. In Aramaic, Kushta means emes. In Hebrew, the word koshet means an ornament. Truth adorns a person. There's nothing greater than the truth. Beauty is connected with people that are honest. What's interesting, in the Hebrew, koshet in Hebrew means like a tachshit, something that adorns you, makes you look beautiful. And in Aramaic, it's truth. That's a side point. Okay, now. None of the people from there ever died before their time. I mean, an old person, yeah, person comes to a certain age, but there were no tragedies of young people dying ever in that city, unlike other places. Nobody died young. Oh. Sure. Thanks, we're up to here. Nasibi Itzat min home. I married a woman from amongst these people. I heard so many great things about the city. I actually wanted to marry a woman from the city of truth. And I gave her 2 children, or she gave me 2 children. We had together 2 children, and I had 2 sons by her. V'habeli, v'hayali, Tartain means two. Benin, like banim. Benin, sons. Mina, from her. Like mimena in Hebrew. Mina, from her. Yom Echad, look at the next side, the right side of the page. This is, when you turn this is the Hebrew or the Aramaic. Then you turn to this page, and we're on this page here. And we're on the right side of the third page. On the top of the page, the narrative continues in the third person. Yom Echad, like Yom Echad, one day, Hava Yosva was sitting, like Yoshev. Yoshev, in Hebrew you say sitting, Yoshev, Yoshav. In Aramaic, a shin becomes a tough. Yasef, interesting. Yasef, sit. How do you say a wife in Aramaic? Did these two, which sounds like a house, because a woman is the mainstay of the house. In Bivrit? How do I say what? A wife? Divisu. Divisu. Look in here. Divisu. Dawid Beis Yutzaf. Kila Katuv Bayis. She is like the Akeres Habayis, the mainstay of the house. Right? She was preparing for her mikvah. She was preparing in her home to remove all the interposing substances and taking what we call mikvah preparation. So she was not available. A next door neighbor knocks on the door and wants to see her. That's what happened. Wants to talk to her. Asoi means came. Also, coming. Shibavta, her neighbor. Tarfa, she knocked. Adosha, on the door. Savar, thinking. So now the husband is home and his wife is busy. She's preparing for the mikvah. And she's not available, obviously. Savar, he, the husband, felt, I can't tell the truth. Lav oirach ara. It's not proper to tell the neighbor that his wife was washing her hair, because that would give away where she's going tonight. And you're supposed to keep mikvah going very clandestine, very secretive, and no one's supposed to know about it. The only one knows about it is the mikvah lady, the woman who's going, maybe her mother, usually not, and the one above, the Eibishter. No one is supposed to know about it. It's supposed to be kept secret. In fact, although we're very careful never to push off mikvah for no good reason, illness, of course, is a good reason, but just because of laziness, I'll go tomorrow, I'm not in the mood. No, you can't do that. But if you feel that it will be publicized, people will begin to talk. For example, let's say there's a simcha in the house, and you're the mother of the simcha, and you're not there. You're busy. They're going to start thinking, and it'll become public knowledge that you're going to the mikvah tonight, and that is a problem. And that gives you the excuse to be able to push off mikvah to the next night. Well, ordinarily, we're very careful. So here's a woman knocking on the door. Her husband does not feel comfortable to tell her the truth. Amar lo, he says back to her. Amar lo, Omer lo means to her, to his wife's neighbor, friend. Leisa hacha, she's not home, which is a lie. She was home. Now, for a good reason, he didn't lie to be a liar. He lied to keep what his wife was doing a secret. And guess what happened? A terrible tragedy happened. Subsequently, his two sons tragically died. Until he came to the city, not one single tragic death took place. Nobody died young. There were, of course, people that were old, natural death, but nobody tragically died young, not through an accident, not through some sickness. When your time came, you reached an old age and you died. And because of this lie, the city is a city of truth. It couldn't tolerate. It was allergic to lies. And therefore, Rahman al-Islam, he lost his two children. Now, the people of the city never heard a story of young kids dying. Also, the people of that town came to him and asked him, "My hi, what's going on over here? How did this happen?" So he said he felt what the cause was, and he told him the whole story. That this person knocked on the door, his wife was busy, preparing and he didn't want to tell the truth, so he said that he wasn't around. They said to him, Bimatusa minach, we beg of you, please leave our city. Puk means leave. Me'asrin, from our place, from our city. And do not incite death against these people, meaning themselves. Don't bring tragedy into our town that never knew tragedy. Okay, now, what was he supposed to do? Tell the truth? Can't do that. But he could have said it in a different way. He could have said, instead of saying the truth, the actual truth, he could have said something that's not a lie, and it would still not publicize it.
Maybe she can't talk now.
He can't talk now. Yeah, it could be a million reasons. Maybe she's davening. She can't talk now. Or something else that's not a lie, but not directly telling him. It's okay if you don't tell the truth. You just don't want to lie. And he was very careful with his wife's kavod, so he did so by mistake. He said something that's not true. And because he's such a great tzaddik, this person was a very big person. Hashem, for great people, the slightest little deviation from truth, and also in a city like this, where truth was so carefully accepted, it affected his children. Now, it could be that not that because of the lie, the children died. They were destined to die early for some other reason. But Hashem would have, in other words, when they were born, they were destined to live a certain amount of years, let's say 80 years. Something happened that caused this to change. If they would have kept the truth, if the father would not have said anything, any lie, would have been careful with the truth, Hashem would have revoked that, would have give them their whole full 80 years of their life. If you don't change and say something wrong, I will keep my promise. I promised 80 years. They did something wrong and they were about to die early. That could have been revoked if you would have kept the truth. But because you didn't, therefore, because of something that was done, we don't know exactly what, they had to die early. So even people that for certain reasons, only known to Hashem, would have to tragically die, what would preclude that tragedy would be telling the truth. Telling the truth would save you from a tragedy that would have come. Not that the lie caused the tragedy directly, but it prevented the cure, the medicine for the tragedy. It prevented the Eibishter to forgive and go back to the original amount of years they were supposed to live. That's what some of the Farshim say. That's the end of the story over here. This is one Gemara. It's a follow-up to the previous Gemara, which talks all about truth that will be lacking when Mashiach will come. And boy, do we see it now. One of the signs, it gives all the signs of Mashiach. And it says, I'll just share with you one interesting thing. The face of the generation, meaning the face are the leaders of the generation, will be like the face of a dog. What is that supposed to mean? So one of the pirushim of this is, you ever see dogs? They run ahead of you and they look back to see if their owner is following them. Some rabbis don't have leadership. They want to do whatever the followers want them to do. So they make statements, but they make sure that the followers will like what they say. They want to be liked. They want to be well accepted. And that's a problem. It's a lack of emes. They'll just say things to satisfy the masses of people, to be popular. I want to be popular. I want to be loved, right? And that's not a rabbi. But before Mashiach comes, there'll be such kind of leaders. There's a lot of there's about 15 different meanings of what this can mean. This is one of the famous ways of explaining it. Okay, now take the other Gemara.
Why is this story? Why did we bring this story?
Because we just talked about one of the signs of Mashiach is that truth will be missing. So we're talking about truth. Here's a story about a city that they never said lies. They never lied. Now there's an interesting Gemara in Tractate Bava Metzia I want to share with you. Gemara says you're not allowed to say anything, you're not allowed to lie with the three exceptions. Now, of course, one obvious exception is to save your life. You know, to lie, to cross the border, you know, for the Holocaust, people who are escaping, of course you're allowed to lie for that. That's pikuach nefesh. If you're allowed to, do every single thing, you're allowed to desecrate the Shabbos and eat non-kosher to save your life, for sure you're allowed to lie to save your life. That's not an issue. When are you allowed to even lie when it's not for that purpose? You want to guess three things. One of them is tznius, bepuria, about what's going on in your intimate life. You don't tell people that. And even if they ask you, you're allowed to avoid the subject, but you don't lie. Just don't tell the truth. Somehow get away without telling the truth, but don't lie either. Masechta. If they ask you, do you know this Masechta? Are you Bucky? Have you learned this tractate? And you have, but you don't want to brag about it. You want to be an onav. So you're allowed to not admit that you learned it, but you can't say, no, I never learned it. That's a lie. What you should say is, I learned that Masechta. You didn't lie. You just made them feel that you didn't. But you didn't say clearly, I did not. You said, me, little me, did I learn that Masechta? What do you think? Like that. So you can be humble and not lie at the same time. But you're allowed to at least avoid the truth. There's also a third example given there in the Gemara. So again, one thing is to not tell the truth. The other thing is to lie. And he lied over here by saying she's not home. That's the problem. Take the other Gemara now. The other Gemara is in the same Masechta we've been learning until now. And it's probably a story you know. I think I once even learned it in class, maybe a while back. But we'll go over it again. You know the Nachum Ish Gamzu story and Rabbi Akiva. Two different stories about seeing the truth. Not getting affected by what you see on the exterior. Looking deeper, and everything is good. So the story with Rabbi Akiva is not the story we're going to learn. That's the story in Masechta Brachos. You know the story? He's going on a journey, and he has with him a donkey, a candle, and a rooster. No, this is Rabbi Akiva. In Masechet Brachot, page 60b, Daf Samach Amud Beis. The Rebbe quotes this Gemara in a Sikha. So he says the following. The story goes like this. He's going on a journey, and he needs to lodge, to sleep over in someone's house. Yeah, it's dark already. And it's pretty not safe to be alone in the street. All kinds of dangerous elements are out there. So he knocks on the door, nobody lets him in. He has no choice, he's forced to sleep outside. He takes his donkey, and the Rebbe Natsicha says that was in those days. You take donkeys and roosters. The rooster is to wake you up at midnight. Tikkun Chatzos, to wake you up at night. It's an alarm clock. The rooster was an alarm clock to wake him up and sit and learn Torah or cry over the Beis Hamikdash. The donkey, of course, is like a cart to put all your stuff, load them on. And the light is to be able to learn in the dark. So we have it with a candle. What happens? A lion comes. Now he's already, not in a good situation. A lion comes and devours the donkey and leaves him alive. I guess the donkey was better tasting than human blood. So the lion devours the donkey. Now he has no donkey anymore. What's he keep on saying? Rabbi Kiva keeps on saying, Kol ma the Abed Rahman, he says in Aramaic, whatever Hashem does is for the good. He said that when he was kicked out of the house, when he was told you can't come in. He said that when the donkey was devoured by a lion. Then the wind blows out the candle and a cat devours the rooster, or a gigantic cat kills the rooster. So now he has no rooster, it's dark, he can't see where he's going, and he has no donkey, and he's in bad shape. What does he say? Whatever Hashem does is for the good. What happens? There are bandits going through the city, and they would have noticed him. They rampaged the entire city. People were killed in their homes. And if he would have been in one of those homes, he would have been killed. If his light would have been on, they would have seen him. They would have noticed him. If the donkey was there or the rooster, they would have made noise. They would have heard him, heard his whereabouts. They would have found him and killed him. That's the one story. But here comes a different story. And in this story, he says, whatever Hashem does is for the good. This is not good. This is painful. To be left alone in the street and to lose your tarnagol, lose your chamor, and be scared with no light. That's painful. But you know what? It pays to go through this pain because it'll save you from bigger pain. But then there's a better story. The story that we're going to learn here with Nachum Ish Gamzu. The Rebbe talks about the difference between these two stories in volume 2 of the Likutei Sichos, page 394. Let's take a look at the other copy. So the first page where the line is, right in the middle, that's where the Gemara in the Aramaic is. So that's where the Gemara is. Turn the page, and you'll have two stories about him. Starting with, on the first page, let's start with the middle here. It's right here. The second page, not this page, but this page right here on top. So it's the second page. Yeah, it's this page, the second page over here on top. Omru Olav. Gemara relates another story. It's a continuation of stories about how a dilapidated house, you remember we had this story a few weeks ago, did not collapse as long as a tzaddik was in it. He was a person that was known, he was melumad benisim. Miracles happened to him like nature happens to us. He was used to miracles. Miracles was nothing new to him. So they say the following story. He was blind in both eyes. How he became blind, we'll soon see. So he was blind in both eyes. Gidei b'shtei yadav, missing both hands. Kito b'shtei raglav, amputated legs, missing both legs. Imagine a person. The whole gufoy molei shchin, his entire body was covered with boils. V'hayamutal b'bayis ra'ua. He was lying in a house that was dilapidated. Bayis ra'ua, a bad house that was in danger of falling, collapsing any moment. Now, you have no legs and you have no hands. Ants, morashkas, ants, namala, can start biting. You have thousands of ants and you can't control, you have no hands to throw them away, and you can't kick them away. They could rise up and start biting at him. So he had his legs, whatever was left of his leg, until his thighs in cold water so that they could not reach him. I'm sorry, not his legs. My mistake. The legs of the bed, I meant. The legs of the bed where he was lying on was in cold water. All four legs were in cold water, so the ants would not be able to climb up. They would climb through the legs, but they couldn't climb because there was a water. The legs were in a jug of water, and therefore, he was safe. But he was suffering. You can imagine what kind of suffering he went through. And the legs of his bed were placed in pails of water, so that the ants should not crawl up his legs on the bed unto him. By the way, I forgot one thing in the other Gemara. We're learning about truth. I want to mention this. Why is truth so important? Because the very first words in Chumash, Bereshit bara Elokim, if you take the last letter of those three words, it's emes. Bereshit ends with a taf, bara ends with an aleph, and Elokim ends with a mem. Aleph, mem, taf. In the very beginning of the creation of the world's existence is founded upon truth. At the end of the whole story of the 7 days of creation, what does it say? Asher bara Elokim lasos. Those last three words, the first letters of the last three words of the 7 days of creation, Chumash Bereshit, when it talks about Shabbos at the end, it says, Vayechal Elokim Asher bara, which he created to do. Bara starts with Asher starts with an aleph. 1 second. Bara Elokim lasos. Bara ends with an aleph. Elokim ends with a mem, and lasos ends with a taf. So again, the last three words, the last letter of the last three words of the parsha in Bereshit, talking about the day of Shabbos, it ends with the last letter of the last three words, emes. And we all know that Shabbos is connected with emes. You know, it says that you're not allowed to take certain produce from an am haaretz, from someone who doesn't really take, tithing seriously. Even if he says he did, we don't trust him. We feel he might be lying. But if it's Shabbos, the nature of a Jew is not to lie on Shabbos. Of course, you have free choice. But naturally, you're inclined to be more truthful on Shabbos. Shabbos is a day where truth is revealed, where Shem Havaya, the Yud Kei Vav Kei is revealed. And that is why it's so important, even during the week, to be careful with what you say. Okay, now, go back to the story here. So he's really suffering a lot. Pamachas, one day, his bed was in a dilapidated house. His students, his disciples, his students, wanted to remove the bed from the house because he's in danger. And then afterwards, once he's out, then we'll remove the furniture. Amar lahem, he said to them, Banai, Panu es hakelim first. Get rid of the furniture first, and then afterwards you can take me out. Because I am sure. He felt so sure of himself, as long as I am in the house won't fall. So he seems to have more trust that nothing will happen to him than the previous story we had a few pages ago. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we went through the story about Abba, but Abba was not very happy when they used him as a means to keep the house intact because it wouldn't fall on him. He's a tzaddik. And he said, I'm not worried. I can trust my level of righteousness. Doesn't seem right. But because he was such an incredible melumad benisim, he lived on a daily basis with miracles. He was above all the rules that you shouldn't rely on miracles. Miracles can harm a person, meaning you lose your merits. If you stood on a very dangerous place and Hashem made a miracle and saved you, even though you were saved, but it's not good for you. It takes away your credits. You lose some of your schutim. But if you're a tzaddik like Nachum Ish Gamzu, who is above nature, miracles are natural. So you don't lose any schutim. And that's what he was saying. Some say that it wasn't because he was so sure of himself, because of his righteousness, but rather he was saying, I know that Hashem wants, I'm not Hashem, but the Satan wants me to continue suffering. He doesn't want to kill me. I'm suffering now. If I die, the suffering will stop. So I'm sure that I'm not going to die right now because I'm still going to suffer more. And that's why he felt that he's not going to, that the house will stand as long as he's there. So therefore, get rid of all the furniture only after, before you get rid of me, maybe you take me out. And afterwards, then you can vacate my bed as well. Soon as Pinu es hakelim, yachakach Pinu es hamitosai, v'nafal habayis. Once he was vacated from the premises, the house immediately fell. Amar le talmido, so his students said to him, wow, Rebbe, as we see that you are a very holy person, very righteous person, why is it you're suffering so much? No hands, no legs, you're blind. Why did all this happen to you? Amar lahem, I'll tell you the story. Banai ani garamti liatzmi. I brought upon myself. Once I was traveling on the road to the house of my father-in-law. Nachum Ish Gamzu was the teacher of Rabbi Akiva. He was Rabbi Akiva's teacher. He lived one generation earlier. He had 3 donkey loads of good food. 3 donkey loads of stuff. One is food, one of drink, and one of various delicacies. A very poor man came to him, didn't seem to be starving, and he stood in the road. My teacher, please sustain me. He didn't say I'm starving to death. All he said was, give me something to eat. I said to him, Hamtain, please wait, until I will unload some food. Sure, but give me some time until I unload some food from the donkey. Let me get off the donkey first. So he slowly went off the donkey and he untied the sacks. And by the time he did that, I did not have a chance to unload the donkey before his soul departed because he was dying of hunger. I went and fell on his face. My eyes, which took no pity on your eyes, let them become blind. I don't deserve to have eyes. If I couldn't see your fate, I don't deserve to be able to see anymore. Yadai, my hands, which took no pity on your hands. I could have, instead of opening it slowly, I could have just ripped it open. Jump off. That's my legs. To jump off the donkey, don't walk off, jump off. It's an emergency. And fastly tear the sack open. Don't untie it. It takes time. But because my legs didn't jump off and my hands didn't rip the sack open, make it much faster, and my eyes didn't see how much you were suffering, didn't know how hungry you were, I want to be cursed, he says. And Hashem followed him. And he did become blind, and he did lose his hands and his legs. So he says, Yadai shleichaso al yadecha yizgadmu. My hands which took no pity on your hands to be cut off. Raglai shleichaso al raglecha. Let my legs which took no pity on your legs be cut off. He wasn't happy with that. My mind did not rest. I couldn't rest. I want my entire body to be covered with boils. I need to suffer to remove the sin of not seeing the person's plight. So at least I will have Olam Haba. They said to him, they only said this now. They didn't say it when they first saw him. Because now they realize, for such a small sin, great tzaddik took on such suffering. Imagine what we need to do then. We're not on his madrega, and we have a lot of things that are quite more serious than his crimes. So Oilana, woe is to us. Oilana, woe is to us that we've seen you this way. Until now, we might have thought that maybe you did something wrong, and who knows, whatever. But now that we see that for nothing almost, it's not your fault. This guy, poor man, didn't say he was starving to death. What am I supposed to? How am I supposed to feel? How am I supposed to know that he was starving? I can't read minds. Yes, you have to realize sometimes a person is embarrassed to say how hungry they are, or they're so emotionally stuck, they're like paralyzed and they can't express themselves anymore, which compounds the pain. They become mute from suffering and they can't talk anymore. Either they're embarrassed to talk or they just can't talk. Why didn't you see that? Why did you just look at the surface? You're Nachum Yish Gamzu. You have X-ray vision. You could have seen through him. That's the problem. There's a parsha called Parshas Re'eh, which is the parsha of tzedakah. And that parsha is called Re'eh. Sometimes you have to not just hear the words of an ani, look at this person and see deeper than what face value tells you. Look deeper. Look at the truth. Look behind the scenes. Don't just suffice with with what your eyes see on the outside. Look deeper. And therefore, he felt that he does not deserve to have a normal life. What's the story? Why were they calling him Nachum Yish Gamzu? Why did they call him by this name? Because whenever would happen to him, he would always say, not like Rabbi Akiva, he would say in Hebrew, Gamzu l'tova. Not whatever Hashem does is for a good purpose. Rabbi Akiva's case was where he suffered. But you know what? Small suffering can sometimes be worth it to avoid bigger suffering. Like the story I told you last week with the Holocaust. Small suffering, it's not small, losing a hand almost, and then saving a sister from the Holocaust. So it's suffering. Losing a hand is not geschmack. Better would be that everything would go right. In the next story, in Nachum Yish Gamzu's story, it wasn't only that it will be good, in other words, a smaller tsar will be erased by a bigger, in other words, a small tsar is worth it to avoid a bigger tsar pain. Here, there was no tsar at all. Let's see the story quickly. Zimnachad, I know you probably know the story, but we'll see it inside. One time, the Jews wanted to bribe the Caesar. We always have problems with goyim, and we need to bribe them. Omru, man Yezel, who should go? Who else? Let Nachum Yish Gamzu. He's always involved with miracles. Yezel Ish Gamzu. Let this Nachum Yish Gamzu go. The Maluma Benisnu. He's accustomed to miracles. They sent with him a chest filled with precious stones and pearls. Look at the next page. The next side. Azal, he went. It's not a perfect copy here, but you can still see it. Bus Bahudira. Bus means he lodged. On his journey, he spent the night in a certain residence. And remember, he had gold and silver and diamonds in his chest. During that night, the resident arose while he was sleeping. Took his chest, emptied the gems, umalinu afra, and filled it with dirt that they dug underneath the house. Skipping the next line. Kimata Hasan, when he arrived there at the palace, he still hasn't realized that he doesn't have any gold anymore. Sharinu Sifta. They untied the chest. And the king's people saw that it was full of dirt. The emperor enraged and wanted to kill them all, meaning him and his whole entourage. Declaring the Jews are mocking me by sending me such an insulting gift of earth. So what did Nachum Yish Gamzu say? Gamzu l'tova. He didn't say this will be for a good purpose. He said this is actually a present from Hashem, that it's earth instead of diamonds. It's better to have earth than having diamonds. That's what he meant. What happened? Also, Eliyahu was disguised as one of them. And appeared to him, to Caesar, as one of his own people, disguised as a Roman official. Amalei, he says to Eliyahu Navi, says to this Roman Caesar, maybe it's the dirt from the dirt of our father Avram, which he used during the war against his 4 kings. When Avram would throw dirt at the enemy, it turned into swords. Gili, when he threw straw, Havagiri, it turned into arrows. And that's how he destroyed his enemies. And he quotes a pasuk in Yeshaya, he made his sword like the dirt, his bow like a wind-blown straw. So maybe it's a very special earth. Don't kill him. So Caesar accepted the advice, and there was one city the Romans had not been able to conquer. They tested some of the dirt against that city, and with the help of that dirt, turning into arrows and swords, they were able to conquer it. And after the victory, they went into the emperor's treasure vault and filled Nachum's chest with precious stones and pearls in gratitude for his wonderful gift. And they sent him away in great honor. Now, just following the last few lines, when Nachum and his party came home, they spent the night in the same hotel. Amrullah, the resident of that place, said to Nachum, "What did you bring with you to the Caesar?" I see your back. What did you bring? The Abdullah that he gave you according to such great honor. Amalahu, what did I bring? Whatever I took from here, that's what I brought. Whatever I took from here, I brought there. Socially, they thought, let's do the same thing. They immediately demolished their own houses to find the earth that they gave him, they gave Nachum, and they brought it to the king. Brought the rubble to the royal palace, thinking that it will also find favor in the king's eyes. They said, "Hi, Afra, the the dirt that Nachum brought, by the way, is our dirt. So this is a miraculous dirt." But Kua, they tested it, and it didn't have the same miracles. It didn't turn to arrows and to swords, and therefore, they executed those residents. So they lost their lives for stealing and lost their houses. So Nachum wanted them to lose the house. That's why he didn't say, he told them, whatever I took from here. Otherwise, he could have said, well, someone gave me gold and silver on the way. Then they would not have tried their earth. But he said, whatever I took from here. So he fooled them to believe that this earth will have miraculous power. It did not have. It only had for Nachum, not for them. So here's a story where he'd be better off. He's better off with the dirt than he would be with the gold. Because the gold and silver, you never know if the king gets bribed. No, gold and silver has plenty. The king has plenty of gold and silver. But to fight and win a war, thanks to your miraculous offer, that's special. So it was better. He's better off with the earth than he would be with the gold and silver. It's not like Rabbi Akiva's case. It's better. There's no pain whatsoever. It's a favor. In Rabbi Akiva's case, it was a hard loss, but you're saving yourself a bigger loss, your life. Here it's no loss whatsoever. On the contrary, you're improving your chances of getting the king's favor.
That was before he lost his legs.
Yeah, this is before, obviously. So he's such a great tzaddik. What happened? Why? That's what they were asking. Okay, we'll stop here. Hello. Oh, look who's here. Hey. Hello. Okay. Have a wonderful week. Wonderful Shabbos. Stay well. Stay healthy.
Agora eu acho que não, porque tipo, você vai fazer como ele tá até quinta, meio-dia. Sim, tipo, eu já tive um teste com ela.
Where you from?
I'm from Brazil. Yes, Portuguese, yes.
Okay.
Natalia.